The promise of artificial intelligence has been sold to us as a digital utopia, a shift so profound it would rival the discovery of fire. Yet today, we stand at a precarious crossroads where the staggering $1 trillion investment in infrastructure is clashing head-on with a cold, hard reality. The revenue isn't showing up. You've been told that AI will solve every human problem, from cancer to climate change, but behind the curtain of Silicon Valley's hype, the giants are sweating over electricity bills and hardware costs that are cannibalizing their profit margins. This isn't just another tech trend, it is a high-stakes financial gamble where the gap between expectation and execution has become a canyon. And if you don't understand the structural fractures forming in this AI miracle, you are destined to be the one holding the bag when the music stops. We are entering the era of the great AI correction, a period defined by disciplined action, radical transparency, and the brutal purging of vaporware in favor of concrete, sustainable value. To understand why the market is trembling, we must first look at the sheer physics of the problem, specifically the relentless 5Y chain that leads back to a fundamental economic mismatch. Why is the market suddenly skeptical? Because the return on investment, ROI, is failing to keep pace with the capital expenditure. Why is the expenditure so high? Because we are in a brutal GPU arms race where big tech must spend billions on Nvidia chips and massive data centers just to stay in the game. Why isn't there enough profit to cover this? Because the cost of inference, the actual act of an AI generating an answer, remains astronomically high compared to a simple Google search, and the average consumer is not yet willing to pay $20 to $50 a month for a tool that sometimes hallucinates. The root cause is a catastrophic disconnect between technological hype and market affordability, creating a bubble that is stretched to its absolute limit. Goldman Sachs recently dropped a bombshell report highlighting that for a $1 trillion investment to break even, the industry needs to generate roughly $600 billion in annual revenue, a figure that frankly seems like science fiction given the current state of enterprise adoption. Look at the semiconductor giants. Their stock prices have soared into the stratosphere based on the assumption that demand for chips will grow forever, yet the software companies actually using those chips are struggling to turn a profit. We see a three-way tension. Investors are terrified of a sunk cost fallacy and are demanding immediate results. Big tech firms are trapped in a cycle of burning cash because stopping now means immediate obsolescence, and small businesses are paralyzed, caught between the fear of missing out and the fear of investing in a platform that might be bankrupt in 2 years. History doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes, and what we are seeing today is a digital mirror of the dot-com bubble of 2000. Back then, the world was obsessed with eyeballs and clicks, building out a massive fiber optic infrastructure that seemed like a waste of money when the bubble finally burst. People laughed at the idea of buying groceries online or watching movies via the web, but the infrastructure laid during that wasteful period eventually gave birth to Amazon, Netflix, and Facebook a decade later. The AI bubble is no different. We are currently overbuilding the brains of the future, and while many of today's AI startups will vanish into thin air, the underlying compute power will eventually facilitate a transformation we can't yet fully grasp. The difference is that in 2026, the market no longer has the patience for vision, it demands velocity and veracity. The sheer energy hunger of these AI systems is the silent killer that no one likes to discuss at glitzy tech conferences. Training a single large language model consumes more electricity than hundreds of American homes do in a year, and as we push for more parameters and more intelligence, we are hitting a physical wall of power grid capacity. This has forced a sudden, desperate pivot towards renewable energy, not necessarily out of a love for the planet, but out of sheer necessity for survival. Without cheap, abundant power, AI becomes a luxury good rather than a utility. Simultaneously, we are witnessing a violent shift in the labor market, where AI literacy is no longer a bonus, it is the baseline for employment, forcing a global workforce to unlearn and relearn their core skills in real time. Think of a once celebrated Silicon Valley startup, a unicorn valued at $3 billion because they created a specialized chatbot for legal research. A year ago, they were the darlings of venture capital, but today they are quietly laying off 40% of their staff. Why? Because the cost of their API calls to OpenAI is higher than what they can charge their clients, and their moat was nothing more than a thin wrapper around someone else's technology. This story is playing out in thousands of offices globally. The party of easy money is over, and the guests are realizing they've been feasting on appetizers that they can't actually afford as a main course. The AI gold rush has turned into a survival trek, where only those who control their own costs and own their own data will make it to the other side. However, we must ask ourselves, is a bursting bubble actually a disaster, or is it a necessary act of hygiene? I argue it is the latter, a great purge that will strip away the grifters, the overhyped prototypes, and the AI-powered toothbrushes of the world to make room for genuine innovation. By 2026, the trend will shift away from massive do-it-everything chatbots that live in the cloud and towards small language models. SLMs are lean, mean, and highly specialized AI systems that run directly on your phone or laptop, requiring zero internet connection and costing almost nothing to operate. This is the edge AI revolution, where privacy meets efficiency, and it is here that the real money will be made, not in chasing godlike intelligence, but in providing practical, local utility. In this climate, the most dangerous thing you can be is passive. You must be decisive and move with a sense of disciplined action. If you are an investor, stop looking at AI mentions in earnings calls and start looking at the efficiency ratio. How much cost is this AI actually removing from the bottom line? If you are a business leader, stop launching R&D experiments that have no clear path to profitability and start deploying AI tools that solve a specific, painful bottleneck in your workflow today. We must be can-do and result-oriented, cutting through the fog of marketing jargon with the sharp edge of financial reality. The winners of 2026 will be those who treat AI as a high-performance engine that requires precise tuning, not a magic wand that solves problems by itself.
The era of blind faith in AI is dead, and in its place, a more mature, rugged, and resilient industry is being born. We are moving from the hype phase to the execution phase, where only the most disciplined, strategically sound companies will stand tall. Do not fear the correction. Embrace it as the moment when the noise is filtered out and the signal becomes clear. This is your opportunity to build on solid ground while others are still building on the clouds. It is time to stop dreaming about what AI might do in a decade and start commanding what AI must do for you this afternoon. If you are ready to navigate this transition with precision and want to identify which sectors are truly bubble-proof in the coming year, I have prepared a comprehensive strategic breakdown. Comment "Survive" below, and I will send you the 2026 AI Resilience Framework to help you protect your capital and focus your efforts where they actually matter. Let's stop chasing ghosts and start building the future, one calculated step at a time. Building on that foundation of market reality, we must now pivot our focus toward the internal engineering of victory, because surviving a bubble isn't just about avoiding the crash, it is about being the one who owns the ruins and rebuilds the city. The primary reason most AI projects are hemorrhaging cash right now is a lack of operational discipline. Companies have been throwing data at the wall like wet spaghetti, hoping something sticks. But the winners of 2026 are those who treat their AI architecture like a high-performance military asset, lean, lethal, and local. We are moving away from the cloud-first obsession because the inference tax, that constant stream of micropayments to server farms, is a slow-motion suicide for your margins. To achieve maximum efficiency, you must understand the concept of the intelligence density of your data. Most businesses are hoarding trash data that costs a fortune to process but yields zero actionable insight. Think of it like a scout team behind enemy lines. They don't bring back every rock and leaf they find. They bring back the specific coordinates of the target. Your AI strategy must do the same. By shifting towards specialized domain-specific models, you can achieve 90% of the performance of a massive GPT-4 model at 1% of the cost. This is the asymmetric warfare of the tech world, using smaller, smarter tools to defeat bloated, expensive competitors. Let's look at a concrete example of strategic pivoting in the healthcare sector. A major diagnostic firm was spending millions monthly on a general-purpose AI to analyze patient records, only to find the accuracy was hit or miss and the latency was killing their workflow. They stopped. They pivoted. They spent 3 months training a small language model on nothing but their own proprietary, high-quality medical data. The result? A system that runs locally on their own hardware, costs nearly zero to maintain, and outperformed the global giant in specific diagnostic accuracy by 15%. This is sovereign intelligence, owning your tools instead of renting them, and it is the only way to build a fortress balance sheet in an uncertain market. The why behind this shift is simple: control. When you rely on a third-party API, you are at the mercy of their pricing, their downtime, and their alignment filters. In a competitive landscape, being at the mercy of anyone is a losing position. You must be proactive and self-reliant. This means auditing every AI touchpoint in your organization and asking, does this generate more value than it costs in electricity and compute? If the answer isn't a resounding yes, you cut it. No sentimentality, no sunk cost excuses. We are in the business of impact, not innovation theater. We must also confront the human element of this transition with steadfast leadership. There is a pervasive fear that AI is a replacement for human talent, but that is a low-resolution way of thinking. In reality, AI is a force multiplier. A soldier with a radio is more effective than a soldier with a megaphone. An architect with AI is more effective than an architect with a pencil. The actionable value here is in augmentation strategy. You don't fire your best people. You strip away their administrative friction so they can spend 100% of their time on high-level decision-making. This is how you achieve breakthrough productivity without destroying your company culture. As we look toward the second half of 2026, the golden rule of AI will be interoperability. It's no longer enough to have one smart tool. You need an ecosystem where your AI agents talk to each other without human intervention. Imagine a supply chain where the AI predicts a shortage, automatically negotiates with 3 different vendors, and updates the production schedule before the manager even pours their first cup of coffee. This isn't a dream. It's a standard operating procedure for the elite, but this only works if your foundation is clear, transparent, and standardized. The silent saboteur of this progress is model drift and data poisoning. Just like a weapon that isn't cleaned, an AI model that isn't monitored will degrade over time, leading to hallucinations that can cost a company millions in legal liability or lost trust. You must implement rigorous oversight protocols. This isn't just a technical task, it's a C-suite priority. Every AI output must be treated as a legal document produced by your firm. You wouldn't let a junior intern sign a $10 million contract without review. Don't let an unmonitored algorithm do it either. Let's talk about market psychology. Right now, the public is suffering from AI fatigue. They are tired of the magic and they want utility. If your product's main selling point is, it's AI-powered, you have already lost. The user doesn't care if a human, a robot, or a trained pigeon solved their problem. They only care that the problem is solved instantly, accurately, and cheaply. This is where daring innovation meets practical reality. We must stop selling the engine and start selling the speed. Focus on the end result and let the technology stay where it belongs, in the background, working tirelessly to deliver excellence. The call to arms for every professional today is to become technically fearless. You don't need to be a coder, but you must be a systems architect. You must understand how the pieces fit together, how data flows, where the bottlenecks are, and how to prompt with precision. The era of vague instructions is over. We are entering the era of algorithmic command. If you can't describe your business process clearly enough for an AI to execute it, you don't understand your business process well enough to lead it.
To wrap up this second phase of our deep dive, the bubble isn't a wall, it's a sieve. It is filtering out the weak and the wasteful. Your job is to be the solid matter that remains. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and stay result-driven. We aren't just surviving the AI crash, we are optimizing for dominance in the aftermath. The path is clear, the tools are ready, and the opportunity is unprecedented for those brave enough to take decisive action. In this final stretch of our strategic journey, we must confront the ultimate frontier of the 2026 landscape, the shift from artificial intelligence to applied integrity. As the dust of the initial bubble settles, we are seeing a massive flight to quality, where the market is no longer impressed by flashy demos, but is instead hungry for institutional-grade reliability. This is the endgame of the AI transition, where the technology becomes invisible because it has become indispensable. To lead in this environment, you must adopt a zero-failure mindset, treating your digital infrastructure with the same unwavering discipline that a commander treats a frontline defense. The era of beta testing on customers is officially over. We are now in the era of mission-critical execution. The competitive moat of the future is no longer the algorithm itself, because algorithms have become a commodity. It is your proprietary data loop. Everyone has access to the same public data, which means everyone's AI eventually sounds and thinks the same. To stand out, you must cultivate data sovereignty. This means capturing the unique, siloed insights that only your business generates and feeding them back into your local models to create a positive feedback loop. Think of it as a digital compound interest effect. Every interaction makes your system smarter, faster, and more aligned with your specific goals than any generic competitor could ever hope to be. This is how you achieve market dominance through information superiority. Let's dive into a real-world case study of this principle in the field of high-end logistics. A global shipping firm stopped trying to use AI for everything and focused on one hyper-specific problem: the last-mile delivery optimization in dense urban environments. They didn't just use GPS data, they integrated real-time weather, local event schedules, and even historical driver intuition into a small language model designed for operational coordination. While their competitors were bleeding cash on expensive generalized cloud solutions, this firm slashed its fuel costs by 22% and increased delivery speed by 30%. They didn't win because they had more AI. They won because they had targeted intelligence. This is the art of the precision strike in business. We must also talk about the ethics of victory. In 2026, trust is the most valuable currency on the planet. As deepfakes and automated misinformation flood the internet, consumers are gravitating toward verified reality. For your business, this means implementing radical transparency in how your AI operates. If an AI makes a decision, you must be able to show the chain of logic behind it. This isn't just a legal requirement, it's a brand superpower. When you can say to a client, "Our system made this choice based on these 3 verified data points, and here is the audit trail," you build a fortress of credibility that no black box competitor can touch. Be honest, be transparent, and be accountable. The actionable value for you right now is to perform a legacy audit. Look at the systems you've built over the last 2 years and ask, is this a liability or an asset? If you are still running on hype-era tech that requires constant manual intervention and high monthly fees, you are carrying digital dead weight. You must be ruthless in cutting these ties. Replace them with modular, interoperable, and local systems that give you total command over your operations. This is about strategic agility, the ability to pivot your entire organization in response to market shifts within days, not months. The human-AI synergy of the next decade will be defined by strategic oversight. We're moving away from prompt engineering towards outcome orchestration. Your role as a leader is to set the intent and define the boundaries, then let the agentic systems handle the tactical execution.
This requires a shift in leadership philosophy from micromanagement to systems architecture. You are the conductor of a digital orchestra. Your job is to ensure every instrument is in tune and playing the right score, not to play every instrument yourself. This high-level perspective is what separates the visionaries from the victims of the AI shift. As we conclude this deep dive, remember that innovation without discipline is just chaos. The $1,000 billion spent on AI infrastructure wasn't a waste, it was the price of admission to the new world. The bubble didn't burst to destroy the industry, it popped to release the pressure so that the real work could begin. You are now standing on the solid ground of a post-hype world. You have the tools, you have the data, and most importantly, you have the clarity of vision to move forward with absolute confidence. The future belongs to the doers, the builders, and the disciplined. It belongs to those who see the signals through the noise and have the courage to act while others are still paralyzed by analysis. We have moved past the why and the what. We are now firmly in the how. Every challenge you face is simply an optimization problem waiting for a decisive solution. Stay vigilant, stay aggressive, and stay committed to the pursuit of excellence. To help you take that final, most important step, I've put together a 2026 AI leadership checklist that covers everything from inference cost auditing to data sovereignty protocols. If you are ready to stop reacting to the market and start defining it, this is your tactical blueprint. Let's make 2026 the year your organization moves from surviving the hype to defining the standard.